Honorable Men Discord. Is Jake Paul good or bad for boxing? Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And by all means, if you have something you'd like to share pertaining to this episode, I'll see you in the comment section. So, gentlemen, today's guest is Clubber Creed. His background is in boxing, MMA, and he's from Queens, New York. Welcome, Clubber Creed.
Thank you for having me on your panel.
My pleasure. So, we've been in talks getting you on this show, and with this upcoming fight that's taking place, I believe it's November 14th. It's out in Miami, and it's against Jake Paul and Gervonta Tank Davis. So this is a free-flowing conversation between you and I for the viewers to watch. But first, let me start with, what's your thoughts on the fact that Gervonta Tank Davis didn't run back the fight with Roach? And do you think Roach deserves the rematch?
I don't think Tank is ducking him. I think eventually he's going to come down the line. He's going to give him a rematch. Just coming from, I think he was in prison, just coming home, he needed a quick little buck in his pocket. Take it for Jake Paul. Jake Paul's happy to reach out and put some money in his pocket for an exhibition fight, and just to sharpen his tools. Let's think this is the last time, there's a lot of boxers that's been in imprisonment and come out and took a defeat. So if they had that opportunity to, cherry pick an opponent and get warmed up and do a little sparring sessions, they will do the same as well. So I don't think nothing wrong with that one. I think, hey, he can fight Jake Paul, make some money in his pocket, do a little tune-up before he fights Roach. I think that'd be good. Even though Jake Paul is totally different size and weight, but it's nothing wrong against that.
That's interesting. I honestly wasn't expecting you to take that route. So let me ask you something. So would you say Jake Paul is good for boxing?
Yeah, he's great for boxing. He's done nothing but good for boxing. Yeah, wow. Jake Paul is good for boxing. Because actually, for the woman, he put Amanda Serrano on the map. And she had two or three stellar matches under MVP. Stellar match where it was probably like fight of the year against Katie Taylor. So he's done a lot, and he's done a lot for a lot of amateurs and upcoming fighters to put them on a fight card, where other promotions won't even give them a nod or head nod or look at. He's putting guys like Ashton Silva, the guy from Long Beach, California, on his undercard. He put a lot of upcomers in his undercard, notable people, young cats coming up trying to make a buck. So he's done good for young upcomers. And we even go to USA Boxing. He done good for USA Boxing amateurs, especially for the Tokyo Olympics. I believe actually the Tokyo Olympics, the Paris Olympics 2024. He done a lot for them, helping them train in Colorado, working out with them, giving them media exposure. So he's done good for the amateurs and for the up and coming.
That's interesting. Very interesting. I guess this is a necessary conversation because I absolutely disagree with you on this. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely a Discord moment. I disagree in the sense of I agree with you in terms of financially he's helping people out, but when I think Jake Paul, I think fighters at their end of their career, retired fighters, outside of what he did for Serrano, I completely agree with you for what he did for Serrano. But again, when I think people fighting Jake Paul, I think about, first of all, MMA fighters fighting Jake Paul. I think about people who had a name once in boxing fighting Jake Paul, much like his last opponent, Mike Tyson. And that's no offense to Mike Tyson, but given his catalog of fighters, Tank Davis, I believe, owed Roach, and I'm saying his name right. Am I saying his name right? Roach? Lamar Roach. Okay. So I believe Tank Davis, owes Roach the fight. him the fight before Jake Paul. Now, is it great for Tank Davis' pocket? Absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with that. But if we look at his fights, and I'm talking about Jake Paul, he started in January of 2020. He fought Ali Eason Gibb, followed by a former NBA player in Nate Robinson, who played for the Knicks and the Bulls and other teams. Then Ben Askren, which has a background in MMA.
19-2.
Okay. But
And
again,
MMA.
but not a boxer, right? Then he fight Tyron Woodley twice. The second time he knocked him out, right?
Tyron Woodley, a knockout artist in MMA. Not a knockout artist, but he has heavy hands. He's one of those knockout dudes in MMA.
But not a boxer. That's why the question was: is he good or bad for boxing?
But okay, keep on.
Oh, so then you have Anderson Silva, another MMA fighter, Tommy Fury, who boxed. So I don't think Tommy Fury had any background in MMA. And
He's still undefeated, Tommy Fury. And Jake Paul, actually, if you run that back, I think Jake Paul won that fight, but I guess Tommy Fury didn't want to lose his last name. So
right, but that's Jake Paul's first and only loss. Then he goes on to fight another MMA fighter in Nate Diaz in 2023. Then Andre August, followed by Ryan Borlard.
those two picks, yeah.
Right, I don't know their backgrounds. What are their backgrounds?
It's just some cherry picks. I don't even know them.
Cherry
anyway.
picks. Followed by Mike Perry.
Then
And-
Mike Tyson.
And then Mike Tyson. And then Julio Chavez Jr.
Junior. who's a
Julio
pro
Cesar Chavez Jr. in 2025. And then now he's lining up to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. So he's 28 years right now. 28 years old. 6'1". His record is 12-1 and 7 KOs. So, again, I'm never going to dispute anyone who says he's not a good pickup financially. But for someone like Tank Davis, who is still a current boxer, I think Tank Davis should either have retired and then fought Jake Paul, because I don't see fighting Jake Paul as a tune-up fight, because his rounds aren't 12 rounds. He's fighting for 10 rounds.
This is an exhibition, am I right? This is an exhibition fight.
Okay.
So it's not even something serious. It's not even serious. It's like it could have happened behind closed doors and no one knew about it. But he made it open for the public, entertainment, and to make some money. So he didn't have to. Like it's like an open sparring session. Now without the headgear.
But you
So
don't see it as somewhat of like these exhibitions. It has fans feeling as though, what exactly does that mean? Does it mean the fight is not real? Because Tyson versus Jake Paul, I felt like that whole thing they got me for my money. I didn't feel like that was a real fight.
I think Mike Tyson should have negotiated that for exhibition as well, but he wanted that on the record to show people that's going to be it's all serious. Like he's looking to go out and knock him out. So, but I just wanted to double check to see if this because last time it was expected to be an exhibition, and yeah, it should be still. I don't know. It was negotiated as an exhibition, but yet it's not even listed if it's going to be not a. Yeah, it still is exhibition fight. Yeah, it is still listed.
Well, how do you feel about them only fighting 10 rounds?
They don't need to fight 12. They could have fought 6. It's like I said. It's just no matter how many rounds either one win, it's going to end up to a draw unless someone gets knocked out. I think even regardless, probably even if someone gets knocked out. But regardless of what, it's going to end into a draw. So, this is tune in or not. But if you're an artist that love art, that loves the hand of open hand combat, you'll tune in to watch Tank make a masterpiece. If not, that's your thing, then you can just wait around till he fights Lamont Roach.
So you actually think after this fight, Tank Davis is going to fight again?
Of course. Not of course. I can't say because, I'm not a known person, but I think this fight was just a selection just to get tuned up, warmed up for someone coming down the line. Maybe Shakur. Who knows? It may not be Roach. Maybe Gary Russell Jr. He's been calling them out. I like to see a battle of the DMV. Them go at it. Any of those three, Roach, Tank, or Gary Russell Jr.
See, the only thing about this is that before Tank even fought Roach, he said he was planning on to only fighting a handful of fights and then calling it quits. So I really don't think when he picked up this fight with Jake Paul, I said to myself, "Oh, he's trying to get that one big bag and call it the day." I don't see him after Jake Paul turning around and fighting more people.
If he already had that intentions to say, you know what, let me make some money and then fight a few selected fighters and then quit. Why not? Why not fight Jake Paul, get that out the way, and then come back at your hardest opponent you had yet, Lamont Roach. And really, the only reason why Lamont Roach probably got that draw is because Tank took that knee.
Mm-hmm.
With that hair grease on his eyes, he could have really lost that fight. So if he could run it back, I think Tank will win it if they run it back. So he might as well just tune himself up, get him a bigger opponent. That's a massive big Jake Paul. But let me say, as amateur fighters, when they walk into a gym and a coach says, "I got a sparring partner for you," and they give you someone big and untalented like a Jake Paul, that should bring joy in your eyes. That's like, good, I got an easy day today. And then when you got other people in the gym watching to see you make a artwork out of your bigger opponent, that's something like you take pride in. So this happens in the gym all the time, especially a person with the skills like Tank Davis. Jake Paul is nothing to him. So it's like, and majority of the opponents that Tank knock out are opponents taller and bigger than him, but a bigger reach. He'll land his overhand uppercut. Either land his overhand or he goes for a slip uppercut. So it's like.
So they have Jake Paul's reach at 76 inches and then Tank Davis at 67.5 inches.
Yeah. Tank slips in the inside easy, cuts his opponents easy. He's done it against Barrios. He got inside in Garcia, even though their reach is not as tall as Jake Paul, but he's got inside. He knows how to commit inside. His most difficult opponents are the ones where he got shorter reach, and he doesn't have to commit inside like a Pitbull Cruz or Roach. Those are the two opponents where they were shorter than him, and he had to really put in work. But every other opponent that's taller than him is nothing but.
You think it's easy work?
Yeah. And Jake Paul hasn't really gone against a real boxer. And let's go back to the opponents that you picked out. Jake Paul doesn't have an amateur background at all. So the first opponent, then you got Nate Robinson, Ben Askren, T. Wood, Anderson Silva, Tommy Fury. Those are same low-class, low-tier opponents that any pro fighter on an coming up would fight against. Those are the same type of opponents. If you look at any athlete, you look at their beginnings, they find some Joe Schmoes. Jake Paul's doing nothing different. His first probably opponent that was level to his class was Tommy Fury, and he, to my understanding, I think he won that fight against Tommy Fury. Then after that, he fought another Joe Schmoes, cherry pickers, Mike Tyson and Ray Chavez Jr. So this is probably a lesson for him, fight Tank Davis. And Bernard Hopkins had a coach, Nazim, and he always say, after you pick cherries, what you do with them? You eat them. Mm-hmm. That's what Paul's doing. It's not difficult for him. A lot of these opponents, he's giving them the back door. He could have knocked most of them out. He could have knocked out Mike Tyson, not badly. He could have knocked out.
No one would have respected that.
Yeah.
But then why doesn't he just go the same route as the other boxers? Why is he doing it on his own platform?
That's the best thing, to show people that you can create your own platform. That should be a great thing so that young fighters don't have to sell out. They can say, you know what, if we have the tools, the assets, and whatever, we can create our own platform and make millions off of that. in his own platform, the WBC was willing to offer him a title fight. That doesn't happen unless, without Jake Paul, other fighters would have to go and this fight undercard, sign this contract, do this and do that, go through all these hooplas. Jake Paul did it on his own. So much bigs up to him in that MVP promotion.
So what he's doing is unique. I don't take that away from him, but you can't say that for the other business models that they're looking at that as like he's ruining their business model. Because imagine that in any other sport, in boxing, in basketball, in football, if a person who started off as an influencer starts their own league and now it's like, oh, I'm a professional basketball player now. And, I know it's different because that's one-on-one. Yeah. That's a one-on-one sport. So it's hard to compare it to football or basketball. But what's another thing? All right, let's take it to tennis. So let's say an influencer is out there on social media making a name for themselves with a tennis racket. And they decide, you know what? I'm going to host my own tennis events. And they start calling in tennis players outside of the Wimbledon, the U.S. Open. You don't think that's a little bit odd, or you think, hey, it's whatever works policy?
If that tennis players goes back to the young up and coming young tennis athletes and start giving them increased visibility, start teaching them how to, get leverage, event presence, start going to the youth, teaching the youth on mental illness, putting the young up-and-coming tennis players on their card, I have no problem with it.
So Jake Paul's helping out with mental illness?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that, so you'd have to educate me on that.
He's an advocate for mental illness. He's giving them event presence. He's doing a lot for young athletes. And he's not even standing on a mountain front, screaming it out loud. He's doing it in silence. So there was a Martin Scorsese film about jazz. And it was I forgot the name of the blues player. And he says, you know what's the
Dizzy
issue?
Gillespie?
No, it's a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you know what's the issue is, and he's talking to Ike Turner. He said, we don't understand as Black people when white people is giving us a compliment or are they culture vulture. Conor McGregor is a culture vulture. Jake Paul is giving us a compliment.
Explain.
Jake Paul is going, even though he skipped the amateur pedigree, he's going back. He's training with them in USA in Colorado for the upcoming events and for the Olympics. He's putting the young upcoming guys on the undercard. He's doing the same steps as the pro fighters are doing, fighting these but these trash opponents. He's trying to go back and do these little baby steps. Even getting these lessons from Tank Davis, which comes soon in November. He's not spitting on the culture. As a matter of fact, people are taking from him. His halftime presence, when Jake Paul would have his promotion, the halftime presence with the music and the entertainment that Turkish Al-Ashish and all these guys are doing, Jake Paul started that first. So he's setting a wave. So I'm all for it. I hope that he steps up his tier opponents in the upcoming up. But as of right now, make your money. Create your platform.
Would you want to see him in the future fight Terrence Crawford?
Jake Paul?
Yeah.
That would have happened.
Why not? You said he's good for boxing. He's fighting Tank Davis right now. Why can't he fight Terrence Crawford?
Fight. They'll give him a cruiserweight. Get back in the rankings, get in the division, and fight some cruiserweights. Like, you have fun fighting Tank Davis as an exhibition. All right, now, like I said, it goes both ways. If it goes for Tank Davis as an exhibition, having some fun, warm up. After that, you get back to fighting Roach and some tier opponents. Same thing with Jake Paul. Yeah, you got our money. Now go back out there and fight some tier opponents. Oh,
so you think that's just jumping a list of guys he should warm up against before even thinking of Crawford? So what about like a Pacquiao or
more. You already got yourself. Jake Paul ain't got to fight no more celebs, and like Tank is the last straw. Like I agree with okay, you can fight Tank, but I'm saying that's the last. That's it. After that,
Yeah, but
move
Tank's
on.
not even his height.
Exactly, it's an exhibition. Just make some money, have some fun. Because we haven't seen Tank in a while. As an artist, I like to see things. I like to see guys. I'll watch a video of some sparring sessions between two, like a Mike Tyson or David Tua. That's a we call a pugilist with love. You know, who just love the sport of fighting and just say, hey, fuck it. We just got, excuse me, my language, but
Yeah.
I watch some entertainment. You know, I want to see some styles. I want to see some artistic setups, combinations. You know, learn a little thing or two when fighting a tall opponent. But after that, it's like, all right, let's get back to the drawing. Let's get back to the books.
I'm just, I'm hearing you, but I'm still confused as to how you say he's good for boxing. He's not even fighting 12 rounds, and you're fine with that.
Yeah.
But it's like he's doing what he wants to do. So why are the other boxers that are going the other route having to fight 12 rounds, and Jake Paul comes along, made his name off of social media, and granted he's legitimately training. It's not like he's not training for real. He's training for real. I believe he's training for real. So I'm not saying he's not taking it seriously, but he's doing things. He's remixing the system.
He's training, but he's barely getting by. He gets exhausted after the seventh, eighth round. You see him; he's exhausted. He's tired. He doesn't cut weight. He doesn't look in cut in shape.
Well, whose problem is that? He should still fight 12 rounds. Whose fault is that? So because he's not making those criteria, he should only fight 10 rounds?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he's not at his best. Nowhere near his best. Jake Paul. He's not nowhere near his best. Hasn't been. But
even those guys you mentioned that they have those tune-up fights, they're still fighting 12 rounds.
No.
They're not fighting 12 rounds?
No. It's gonna take you like maybe, I guess, how many more bouts do you fight 12 rounds? It's like it's levels to it. You fight 4, 6.
All right, so that's why I have you on here today to educate us on this. Please explain somebody who's going into boxing. How does this start? At what point do you get to 12 rounds?
You don't jump into 12 rounds. You gotta be a title contender. You gotta be a title contender to get 12 rounds. You can't just jump into 12 rounds. It takes like 6, 8 rounds, 10-round fights. Like 10 rounds are the interim WBC or WBA title fights, and then you do 12 rounds for a title fight. Then when you're a champion, you get 12-round bouts. So not all your bouts. No one walks in. He's far from a 12-round bout.
Was the Tyson fight 12 rounds?
No, I don't believe so.
But that one counted, so shouldn't that have been 12?
It counted, but there was no title. There was no title on the line, and it was long. And it was, and they agreed upon it. I think they.
Oh, okay. So you can agree.
Yeah. It's like, how can I say? I don't want to reference it to a pickup game, but you say, all right, we're going to play full court or half court. Say, all right, we're going to do 12. It's just something you agree on.
So okay, so if Jake Paul beats Tank Davis, is he still good for boxing? In this exhibition,
this fight's gonna be a draw. This fight's gonna be a draw. It is. Yeah, that Tyson and Jake Paul fight, I had to check. That went 8 rounds. That was an 8-round fight. Yeah, he's gonna have to knock out Tank Davis, and that's not gonna happen. It's an exhibition. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Well, Tank Davis.
If, let's say, by some weird, I don't know, some weird way that
lucky punch.
Yeah. Okay. You knocked out some small guy, you
And if Tank Davis knocks him out, is that good for his brand?
That's what he's supposed to do.
Right.
That's what Tank's supposed to do. There's a lot of young amateur fighters who would love to be in the ring with Jake Paul, show people like he's nothing special. That's why he fights the opponents he do, you know. But like from my personal experience, when I started boxing, they said that in amateurs, they said if you have one amateur MMA fight, you're automatically considered open. When you fight amateurs, you got novice and you got open. So if you fight one amateur fight, MMA, you're automatically open. You're not even a novice. Jake Paul has fought one amateur. He fought an amateur mixed martial arts events. I forgot how many, but he fought a few. Adrian Broner fought 300 boxing fights, and they were all novice. They weren't even open.
Explain novice.
Novice is just low tier guys. You fighting guys with like less than 10 fights. Less than 10.
Adrian Broner fought 300 fights like that?
There's videos on YouTube where he spoke out. I think it's called 25-8, was his little documentary video blog. And he's in the van with his fellas. And the guys was like, yo, how many fights you fought, Adrian Broner? And he says, oh, I fought like 200 or 300. And then he said, oh, word, open? He's like, nah, novice. I said, how you fight 300 fights novice? And he's like, shh. And the video just cuts. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
Why, is that something you're not supposed to do?
That's just, people have their ways. Of course not. You can't do that. It's like you have 10 fights and you're going against a person with 200 and they're in the same division. You're like, no, you're supposed to be fighting open with the other big boys. I guess a bunch of
so
fights.
it's a way to make your record look like it's bigger than it is.
Yeah.
But if anything with Adrian Broner,
but that's just an example I'm using.
Yeah, no, but even though you brought up that example, Adrian Broner, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's shown that he's not really as elite as he might have thought he was, because he was trying to brand himself after Floyd Mayweather, but he came up short a lot.
No,
I don't know if it was a lack of focus. I don't know what it was, but
your off-sides activity outside the boxing ring has a lot to do with what goes on there. And if you're not focused outside, if your main hustle outside the boxing ring is rolling dice and drinking, you're not going to be the best inside the ring. You know, you're not going to be as focused. So a lot of this outside activities just affects what you do in the boxing ring, how focused you are training, and, you know, and you can see that in his physique and his body. You know, he has the alcohol beer belly.
Yeah, unfortunately. I hope he gets himself together. But so if Jake Paul's good for boxing, why hasn't he set up the fight with why didn't he set up the fight with Serrano and Clarissa Shields? Why isn't he not working with Clarissa Shields?
Pick of a weight class. Clarissa Shields is a heavyweight. Serrano is 140, 147? 140, 135?
Well, all right. So right now he has on this undercard I see coming up in November, he has Bumgardner. Why isn't he tried to get her to fight? Because she likes to fight Clarissa Shields. They've had some words with each other.
They're two weight classes apart, two different. There's not enough females. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough females in each weight class, or these ladies got to jump up 3-4 weight classes to get some money. But Jake Paul's doing the best he got to do to get these ladies some
exposure,
some money pockets.
Yeah,
he's doing what they're doing for the WNBA.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. You know what it is. I don't know about what he does as far as the mental health is concerned. You brought that to my attention. I didn't know anything about it, because when I think Jake Paul, I think of someone who, although he's taking the sport seriously, I can't get past knowing how he started and how he clowns around a lot. Even sometimes leading up to the fight, he does a lot of clowning around, and I personally can't take people serious that clown around a lot. If you're boxing, box. It's one thing to be confident and say certain things, but I see him joking around a lot, acting silly, and for that reason, I just feel like that part of it is not boxing. That makes it seem more like WWE to me.